This video is made for adult collectors because this figure is kind of expensive.
T-Spark. Get it? Because he's T-posing? I don't know. I had an intro shot for this and I deleted it by accident and I've shot that over a week ago and I don't remember what it was, so this is the best you're getting. There's Scrapper.
So T-Spark has been an interesting line with its non-masterpiece releases, going from this weird Optimus to this absolutely beautiful Rodimus figure. Like, they kind of came out of nowhere with this thing. It's made in collaboration with Flames Toys and their Furai model Rodimus. So Takara is working with a licensed third-party Transformers manufacturer to make this. Yes, Flame Toys is a third-party company, but the difference between them and someone like Make Toys is they are officially licensed and legal. And it feels so wildly not Takara, it's kind of funny. This is T-Spark Rodimus Prime, and I'm going to start in car mode because A, that's how it's boxed, and B, because watching this thing unfold is a sight to behold. Hey, that rhymed. The car is very IDW with some stylization on top of the stylization. The level of detail is incredible. The layering and the sculpted lines. I especially like the wings with how they look like they're segmented metal even though it's all just one solid piece of plastic. The colors though, the metallic shine is everywhere on this toy. Lots of orange and red with bits of yellow and gunmetal. And the shade of yellow they picked really stands out on the back, but not in a bad way. It cohesively works. I thought in person it was gonna look more mishmash, but nah, it looks nice. The ground clearance though isn't the greatest, so I wouldn't advise rolling it that much because you may scuff the nice metallic sheen underneath. Oh, and the hands are still very slightly visible here, and for the price, which we will talk about later, I wish they had like a cover to completely conceal it and make it more cohesive. He is extremely solid in this mode. Nothing wants to come off, everything stays so securely in place, and it feels so good in hand. There are no sharp parts even though it looks like there is. All the bits that look sharp are nice and rounded off. He comes with some stuff that can store in the alt mode, but that's more for robot mode, so I'll talk about them then. Oh, and it's a nice size, feeling a bit like an MP sized thing, though I don't really have a spot for something like this because of how different it is from a lot of the other toys I have, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Now the transformation blew me away. At TFCon, I was sat with Sam's Forge and Cam from Toy Hacks, and they were looking at this epic lug nut that Sam designed and Cam printed, and in between them talking about how cool that lug nut was, you'll hear me go, holy shit, what? As I was like being blown away by this thing's transformation. So let's do it.
So it was quite the contrast going from this transformation to this transformation, because I'll explain that in this video. If Sam's Forge is watching, he's gonna laugh when I bring this up. Anyways, this, I wasn't expecting to be blown away by this because of how intricate and simple at the same time, which is a very hard thing to do, and they pulled it off here. So to start with, what we're going to do is actually come to the front, and we are going to open up these panels here. And then we're gonna shift them up on this double hinge. So they peg into the bottom there, and they're just going to unpeg and shift around, unpeg and shift around. And then the first thing that blew me away was the wheels. So these are wheels and they spin, and they somehow do this. Yeah, they split in half and then rotate to the back and sit on the back here. And then you're like, okay, what the hell? That's really cool. Oh, and then they also peg together and form the backpack. And then you're like, okay, but these are free floating now. Well, then these come over. You gotta make sure they're in the right orientation. And then this just folds over top and closes it all in place. And then now you're like, okay, where was the wheel? It's just vanished. And it took like 3 steps. It's so cool. I was gushing about this transformation for like 20 minutes after doing it because it was so well done. I had never seen it before. Then you take the arms, you bring them out. You want to open this panel up to get the arms out of the way fully. Get your thumb in there. There we go. Get that out. Now that that's all done, we're going to do the back. So you take the wing and you just sort of bring this up and out of the way. And then you want to take the rest of this section and just sort of bring this down. It'll unpeg from the side, and then you pull the whole windshield up. And we're going to extend it and just flip it out of the way. Now you're going to take the entire torso and pull it up. You're going to then rotate the windshield 180 degrees and then rotate the upper torso 180 degrees and just sort of leave it there. Actually, let's do the backpack now. So we're going to fold this up. This is going to peg into the back here like that, and then these just kind of fit around the wheels. Then you want to take these wings and they're going to double hinge out like so. Then you want to bring this down and just accordion it in. It'll snap into place. And that is his spoiler backpack. That's all done. Now the legs. This is where the next bit of really intricate stuff comes into play. So we're going to split the legs. Then you want to pull them out right here. But you want to be careful. I'll talk about that in a second. So you pull this out, right? Get this whole entire thing slid out like that. Then you push this lower section here back in just a little bit, so that way you can then bring the hip down and then rotate the leg forward. And then you close this up, and then you take this rest of the thigh piece, bring it up and peg it into place. And that fills in the leg. Who thought of that? That's so ingenious. Then you bring the foot down, and then you take this section here, you rotate this up, you unpeg this, and you bring this section up on this hinge, rotate it inward, and then close it up like that. And that is a leg all finished. That hip thing is so cool. Or thigh thing, sorry, is so cool. But when you pull on this, let me actually get a closer shot in here. You see that little like gold tube in there? There goes my dog. You see that gold tube in there? One of my buddies did accidentally yank this whole thing right off, and it was a pain to put back on. He did get it back on, but it was a pain to put back on. So I'd say just be a little bit cautious when pulling this out. But then we're gonna, again, this one's a little stiff. Slide this hip section back in, and then rotate it down on that nice clicky ratchet. Get this panel flipped up while sliding all of this in. There we are. And that's the thigh in place. We'll do the foot, unpeg it, unpeg this, bring it out, accordion it in, close it up, rotate that up, and that's his legs. Now we can stand bro up. Now for the hip skirts here, all you do is just shift them down. They're connected together on this like back section here, so you just bring that down till it clicks, and then you get them lined up. They're not the greatest, but I'll talk about them in a little bit. Then you want to take this chest section, pull it out, rotate it around, then flip it up at the top, like with the bottom piece, and then there's a double hinge underneath that will fold the rest of this in, and then you peg it into the torso to fill it in, revealing his head. Bring the arms down like that, fold those panels in, rotate these gun sections to the side of the arms, all hot rod like, and there you have, almost said missing link, there you have T-Spark. Get up. There we are. T-Spark Rodimus in that glorious robot mode.
So after that rather nice and simple, yet also somehow intricate conversion, you are left with this stunning robot. It feels like an art piece almost. The level of detail and paint, these metallic shades and colors, it all works so well, and nothing wants to come apart. It was my biggest worry seeing this as a Takara X Flame Toys thing. I wasn't sure how it was going to play out, but no, everything is fine. Well, everything but the price, but again, we'll talk about that later. Just doing the pan up, I'm going to switch lenses so you can actually appreciate how nice this thing looks up close. The metallic flake in the paint reflects the light so well that it makes all the non-die-cast parts look metal, and the whole figure feels unified in its material choices. Head sculpt is also fantastic. All the angles and lines I'd want are there, with some artistic liberty taken on the IDW Rodimus, but it looks nice. And man, those back fins really make his silhouette pop. It's so good. Clean ass back too, like there is nothing hanging off. I really don't like these front skirts though. They're so thin and they feel a bit flimsy. I worry about their longevity. And this knee got a bit loose, but it's on a screw, so I can tighten that up. That's easy. He can hold his weapons and his saw, though I'm not a massive fan of having to take the hand off the mushroom peg to put it on. But you get his articulation into the mix, and goddamn, he is glorious.
One thing I quickly forgot to mention is that this extends, and you can take the saw blade off for some reason. You can do that, but this thing's articulation, there's quite a lot of it in here, a lot of moving parts for something that is so solid, which is kind of wild. So the head is on a ball joint. You get a little bit of tilt. I wish it got a bit more, but you can look down that far because there's a double joint here, and you can look up that far. So So it's very nice. Then you have your full rotation. These shoulders, they can rotate, but they bump into the wings. So the wings can fold out of the way to accommodate the full shoulder rotation. The shoulder pads themselves can go that far either way, but then you open this flap up and then you have outward range at the shoulder there. You have a bicep rotation, double jointed elbows. You have a wrist swivel as well as the ever so slight like wrist hinge inward, and that's so that you can rotate the wrist around this little panel right here. I like that inclusion. That's very nice. He does also have butterfly joints, so they can go forward about that far, which is not a lot, but if you rotate the shoulder, they can go forward even more. So that's nice. You do have a double ab crunch, so you have one at the base and then one at the top. And the backpack does like do this little extendy flippy thing when you activate it, which is kind of neat. It does have a waist joint, no side to side. I kind of wish there was. These weird hip skirts can move out of the way to accommodate the legs, which ratchet forward and back on a slightly squeaky but still very nice feeling ratchet. They can go out that far on friction hinges. You have thigh rotation. You have just a little bit over 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and then the knee pad can move however you want. I like leaving it flat, but you can flare them out if you want to. And then the ankles can go down that far. They can go up that far. You do have ankle rotation and ankle tilt. No toe joint, and I wish there was a toe joint. That's like the only thing that I wish was down here, but there are like 5mm ports on the bottom of his feet too. So you can give him weaponizer stuff if you wanted to. But yeah, it is very, very poseable. This thing can do so much. It's really nice. And he's got a nice stable flat base with die cast in his lower legs. So like, he's not going anywhere.
So yeah, he's such a great toy. A couple of gripes I have, but nothing too major. But the biggest gripe I have is the cost. This thing is like 200-ish US dollars, a tiny bit cheaper depending on where you order it, but it's hovering around that mark in most places. And I feel that's a bit too much. It's cool, it feels fantastic, it's covered in paint, has die cast, but only like 4 accessories. And $200 is just a large pill to swallow for most, but it has that third-party price to go with its third-party feel. Well, more refined third-party feel to me. I do still recommend it, but if you can get it for cheaper or on sale at some point, I think that would be a better bet because it's such a good toy. $200 isn't absolutely awful, but it is still a lot for a lot of people. But that's my look at T-Spark Adamus Mechanicus, whatever it's called, Rodimus Prime. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.